welcome back to my channel. So as promised, I will be discussing to you this second session of Brace for Impact. This is actually the first session and the last time is the introductory session. But I will just number it 1 and this is number 2. Okay? So the first session, the second session of Brace for Impact talks about the unforgiveness delivers you to the torturers. There are 2 parts under this session, and first part is why forgiving 70 times 7 is a brilliant idea, and part number 2 is the basics of forgiveness. The passage that was used in this session is Matthew 18 verses 21 to 35. It will be very beneficial to you if you can have your Bible while you are watching this video so you can follow and we can really learn more about forgiveness. The passage basically talks about a servant who has a huge debt from the king. And in this case, if a servant is not capable of paying, it's like the whole family will become a servant as to serve as a payment for that debt. But then this servant, since he loves his family, I believe so, he knelt down, he humbled himself in front of the king and asked for patience that he would pay it all. It is not possible for that servant to pay his debt because it's really a huge debt if you read it in the passage. But then the king felt compassion in his humility and forgave the servant, as in debt-free, right away. On the servant's way out, he bumped in with another servant who has a debt on him. But this time, the other servant is possible of paying it. This servant who has a debt on the other servant did what he did to the king. So he also knelt down. He begged for the patience of the other servant and begged for the patience that he would pay it all. This servant who was forgiven by the king has hardened his heart towards the other servant, and he demanded for payment, and he threw the servant to prison until he was able to pay his debt. When the king heard of it, the king was so disappointed of the servant he forgave. Because, look, this servant has no capability of paying. But then when he humbled himself, the king felt compassion and forgave the servant. And he released him. But then, this same servant, when he bumped into the servant who has a debt on him, he did not forgive. And instead of forgiving, he threw that other servant into prison until he was able to pay the debt. So the king got very, very disappointed and called on to that servant he forgave. And he changed his mind of forgiving that person and threw that into the dungeon. And he will be tortured until he was able to pay. It pays a lifetime. I mean, even if he works 1,000 lifetime, he will not be able to pay his debt. But then he will be paying it in the dungeon through the tortures that he will be experiencing. The passage says that it is what God will do to us if we will not be forgiving people around us. The root of our tortures, the root of our suffering is not about the instances that is happening in our lives, but it is about the unforgiveness of our hearts. If we choose not to forgive people, it brings us suffering. Bruce shared some examples of people experiencing tortures in their lives and in their experiences. They are questioning why they are experiencing that suffering. And when he tried to dig in and talk to those persons about unforgiveness, and when they chose to forgive, it's like they were released from the tortures. They were released from the sufferings. That makes me think that maybe some of the tortures that I am feeling personally is due to my unforgiveness. And this really has stuck to me a lot, because there are a lot of people that I need to forgive in my life. Sometimes I actually say that I've already forgiven them for hurting me or what, but then sometimes when they do something that is against me again, it's like the sins are piling up, the mistakes are piling up, and it really makes me to suffer a lot. And in this conference, I really learned about how I should really choose forgiveness over and over again. And in the next sessions, I will be sharing them all to you, the process on how to get over this unforgiveness thing. But then for the basics of forgiveness, because there's still part 2, there's still part 2. It's like the illustration of this is like there is a wound caused in your heart, and that's bring you to a decision whether to forgive or not to forgive. And of course, if you choose unforgiveness, it will bring you torment, and it will give you tortures in your life. And if you choose to forgive, there would be peace. You will be experiencing peace in your heart because you chose to let go of the things that the other person or other people do to you that wounded you, because you choose to let go of it. And also, to give you some more examples, the people who are suffering from something, when they bring them to Jesus for healing, what Jesus is saying is, you are forgiven. So it's about really the healing comes from the forgiveness. If you don't forgive, you will not be healed, because it will always just come back over and over again. It will not stop, and the torment will not stop. So it is really good that we will learn forgiveness, and I will share all the things that I've learned in the next sessions, in the next videos. So I hope to see you again in the next sessions. Please subscribe to my channel. Feel free to like and share. Thank you, and have a good day.